10, 5, and last 2 minutes, and the last 30 seconds of the presentation. During the last 10 seconds of the speech, I will indicate by means of my 2 minutes the number of remaining seconds. A team not having ended its presentation after 20 minutes will be stopped to move on to the period of questions. A period of question of a maximal duration of 5 minutes is assigned to the jury at the end of the presentation. I would like to remind the jury that it's mandatory to ask at least one question during the period. I will invite the judges to introduce themselves and then the team can begin.
Bonjour, Marie Dufault, professeure en gestion des ressources humaines à Équipe F.
Joanne Baudry, directeur partenaire d'affaires ressources humaines Vidéotron.
Bonjour, Brigitte Nolin, directrice partenaire d'affaires ressources humaines Vidéotron.
Michel Légaré, directrice développement organisationnel Vidéotron.
Bonjour, Josiane Duguay, coordonnatrice santé, sécurité et ressources humaines pour Siemens Canada.
Last week, while I was trying to watch my favorite show, catch the favorite show that I had recorded on Illico, my electricity went out. I freaked out because I was going to have the perfect Friday night. After a few minutes, electricity came back, but everything was black and I didn't know what to do. So I called Videotron, and within 2 minutes actually, everything was fine and I could go back to that perfect Friday night. Videotron is known for its amazing customer service. And we want to make sure that our recommendations that we have for you today are in line with this vision. Hi, we are On Point Consulting. Mon nom est Caroline, voici mes collègues Stéphanie et Sabrina. Nous allons faire notre présentation en anglais aujourd'hui, mais à la fin de la présentation, nous vous invitons à poser vos questions en anglais ou en français. I'll now pass on to Sabrina for the mandate and the brief analysis.
So today you have come to us and asked us to provide with you Videotron's IT department with a comprehensive action plan, not only for the employee motivation problem you're having right now, but for the succession planning. So before we go into your recommendations today, we'd like to first analyze how we got for recommendations. So where you are right now, you have great working conditions, you have great compensation programs, and your employees really enjoy working at Videotron. Additionally, you have a very low turnover rate. 3.05% in 2015 in our marketplace is not common, so that's something to be very proud of. Also, we have many contract workers right now that are, as you mentioned, not distinguishable from Videotron workers, which means that they have incorporated the culture and can be permanent employees for the company. Lastly, there's also, you have a very innovative and very customer-focused company, which goes in line with your values, and your employees have encompassed this as well. There are, however, some issues in terms of succession planning. Right now, there are no employees who have that leadership or that drive to take the management positions that you want to fill. Additionally, it's a very competitive industry. You have companies who want, in telecommunications, who want to come in and steal your top talent, and we need to ensure that this does not happen. There's also been a lot of recent changes that's been happening in your work organizations, and it's left the employees feeling a little bit lost and a little bit disempowered. We need to ensure that we get back to that point. And lastly, there is a need for training for future projects. Now, where you want to be in the future is you want to have engaged and motivated employees. You want to ensure that the employees that you currently have in your workforce are working towards the goals altogether. You also want to have knowledgeable and performing employees, such as having trained employees, and you also want to be the leader of innovation in that industry. You want to beat out your competition, and you want to ensure that innovation is a priority in your company. You also want to have career development opportunities to ensure that the employees stay in your company. Right now, your average rate is 8.5 years per employee. We need to ensure that this remains the same. And lastly, we need a stable work environment. With all the changes that's been happening recently, we need to ensure that the employees feel comfortable in that environment moving forward. So rather than key issues today, we'd like to present to you opportunities, because we see them more as opportunities rather than problems in your company. The opportunities we've seen today are employee motivation, succession planning, and work environment stability. So to go into it right away, the first opportunity we see was employee motivation. Right now, as we mentioned, there's been a lot of changes. Employees don't feel a sense of stability. So we need to ensure that moving forward, this is something they can feel so that there could be innovation happening in the workforce. They also feel very disempowered. And lastly, the project assignment, they perceive this as unfair because right now there's been a different hierarchy that's been happening. So our takeaway from this is that employees need to be motivated to perform properly and to follow the company values in the future. Now, the second opportunity that we see here was succession planning. Right now, there's limited HR development happening. There's also, in the recent years, there's also, this is happening because there's a lack of employees who are interested in those management positions. And lastly, lack of employees who demonstrate that leadership and drive that you've mentioned to us earlier. So from this, we need to ensure that you invest in those employees' futures and ensure the growth and stability of the IT department of Videotron. And the last opportunity we see today is the work environment stability. Now, there's been many recent structural organizational changes that have been happening today. So we need to ensure that the employees are on board and that they know where their job security lies in the future. There also is an opportunity to further train the employees. And lastly, firing and hiring can be very costly. So today you've come to us saying that increasing your turnover rate will be something you'd be interested in. However, we say that you need to have a stable work environment first to ensure the employees stay, rather than moving forward and hiring and firing these employees. So from this, we need to create that stable environment to promote employee engagement and innovation today. So before we go on to recommendations, you come to us today with opportunities. We want to demonstrate to you why we need to change today, why we can't just continue where we're going. So because of the many recent changes, the employees have been feeling very demotivated. This results in the low levels of innovation and no interest in higher career positions, which means that your succession planning is in trouble, as well as the lack of innovation means that you can't be that industry leader that you want to be, which in turn means that you won't be able to maintain your position as the leader. Now I'll pass you back to Caroline, who will do a recommendation for you.
Let me take you back to the very first slide you saw before we started the presentation. This quote, "To win in the marketplace, you must first win in the workplace." This means that to win any kind of competitive advantage and to stay the leader in your industry, everything must be aligned in your own company. So in the workplace, everything must be stable and employees need to be on board with everything that you're doing. So let's just keep this in mind for our further recommendations. We have 3 main recommendations for you today. 3 big projects. The first one is Videotron Talks. The second, Videotron Success. And lastly, Videotron InnoLab. Videotron Talks. What is Videotron Talks? It's an active communication plan. Employees need to be aware of the changes that are happening and of the stability that you want in your company. So this communication plan will go through a general meeting, well, 2 general meetings actually, one for the directors and the supervisors, and another one for the professionals and the students. We also want continuous newsletters to inform the employees, all of the employees, of what's going on in the company, the changes, and what's coming in the future. The second recommendation is Videotron Success. Videotron Success is a series of projects to ensure the future of Videotron. So the first thing we want to implement is skills training. So skills training will be provided for all of the employees to perfect their skills. The second one is leadership workshops. So why leadership workshops? You have many employees who, in your company now, but not many of them are looking forward to further management positions. So if you implement leadership trainings, this will help them acquire the skills and the knowledge to become interested in those management positions so that you can promote from within. Then we have career mapping, which Stephanie will go over later. And lastly, the mentoring program, which will pair seniors and juniors of the employees. Lastly, Videotron InnoLab. So we are suggesting that you implement a 90-10 flex time for innovation in your company to promote innovation. So for this, we'll have to review the performance evaluation to include criteria to see who would be eligible for this, and then review project selection procedures as well. So Videotron InnoLab will allow employees for 10% of their time of their work week to work on projects that are not necessarily assigned to their particular job. So let's say a work week is 37.5 hours at Videotron. For 3.75 hours, these employees will be able to work on other projects. So we'll go through that a little later, but let me pass it on to Stephanie for the implementations of the recommendation.
Thank you, Caroline. So we'll start with first Videotron Talks. So this project is mainly the general meeting. So we want to start right ahead and plan the meeting to make sure that it incorporates all the things that you want to talk about. You want to inform your employees that you understand that all the changes that you went through was difficult and confusing, and you want to assure them that moving forward everything will be transparent and less big changes will happen. You want things to be more smooth. Also, we will start creating templates for the newsletters that we want to send monthly, and directors will be in charge of filling in those newsletters with all the information of what's going on into the IT department. In the medium term, so after roughly 3 months of planning, we will start hosting the meetings. Like Caroline said earlier, we'll have 2 meetings, one for directors and supervisors first, so they know first what's going on, and then for all the employees, and then if they have any questions, they can go refer back to their supervisor or director. And we'll also send the first newsletters. In the long term, we want to continuously send those newsletters and see if there's a need for another meeting, maybe smaller meetings per department or project, if there's things that seem unclear to many employees. For the next implementation, so Videotron Success, this is a very important project. So once everybody is on the same page, we can start moving forward. So planning succession. So in the short term, we will first assess the needs for training. So look at what are the skills that are lacking or that are not at the level that we want, and what are the skills we'll need for future projects. Since you're always innovating, there might need to have new skills that were not needed before, new opportunities that you want to have new projects in. So it's important that your employees have all the skills needed so you can rely less on those external people that you go target. We will also create the leadership workshop. Right from the beginning, we want to be able to have a very condensed program that is going to be successful, so you can get the leaders from within to promote your vision and your values. In the medium term, we will start creating the career map. So this is a roadmap to show clearly what an IT employee at Videotron can do and where he can go. This is a clear vision with specific steps and goals to reach, and basically an easy path on how to get to becoming a leader. For creating, also in the medium term, we'll start creating the trainings based on the skills that we assessed we needed. This would be done with the HR department directors and supervisors. We really want everybody to be involved to make sure that the training is good for the work that they're doing, day-to-day activities, that it's really applicable. And also, we will start sending surveys for our mentorship program. So start to see what are more your personality traits, what you're looking into this program. And then in the longer term, we'll be able to pair mentors and mentees. So a regular professional with a director or a supervisor, to have those easy on-the-job knowledge of how to be a leader, how to perform tasks, what is it exactly to be a leader, what do you do a day-to-day, and have somebody to talk to, give you tips and tricks, and also show you how fun it is to be a leader, to lead a team, to go somewhere further. And also, we want in the long term to promote the career mapping. Once it's all done, we want to roll it out to employees so they know what it is, how does it work, how you can start today to make the first step in this new adventure that you can take on. And we'll also start the skills training. So roughly after 6 months, every employee by batches will start skills depending on the needs that they have. For the Videotron InnoLab, so this we will first have to review the performance evaluation to include criteria on how to select who will be able to participate in this thing. Obviously, this is a test run that we will first do, so we want to make sure that we target the right people to ensure that it's successful. So it's important to assess the right KSAs to this project and then go fill out the performance evaluation of employees and see who can fit into our criteria. And we'll also review the way that we assign projects. Right now, some employees are demoralized that they cannot always work on the project that they like. So we just want to tweak the application process or application selection so that basically when there's a new project, every employee can apply for it and say how interested they are in different projects. And then just look over who applied for what are the skills they have, what are their performance evaluation, and then decide who will be assigned to the project. So that employees feel like they have a say in it. They will understand if they're not selected, it's because maybe they don't have the skill set needed for that project, but at least they were able to voice their opinion and say that they wanted to participate in that project. And also it makes that if an employee is more motivated into the subject that he's working on, it can create greater results. So also in the short term, we need to find the office space for the EnoLab. So we don't want them to work individually on their desk. We want them to be all together and that they spend that 10% of their time all together, be able to share ideas, see what the other is doing, and give tips and tricks. And so we want to have a designated area so that everybody that passes around also see them working on something different, something that is interesting, and make them more wanting to participate in that later on. And for the medium term, we will start applying and communicating all the changes we've made to the performance evaluation and the project selection so that all employees are aware of all those changes. And we will also start the application for the flex time. We want people that are motivated to do this, so that's why we're opening application, and then we'll be able to review with the performance evaluation that we revamped a little bit to make sure that we get the best candidate to ensure success. And in the longer term, so after 6 months, we will start the test run of the flex time and review the results and continuously get feedback on employees, both employees that are within the project and employees without, to see how they perceive it also. And we have an at a glance also for going through a recommendation just for easier for the eye to understand the time frame of everything. So I'll pass it on to Sabrina for our financials.
So if we look briefly into this here, we have broken it down into 3 separate categories as a project we've mentioned. So for Videotron Talks, we want to do a newsletter and a general meeting, which was an opportunity cost, so we estimate between $7,000 and $12,000. Then we have Videotron Success, who had the materials, leadership workshop, and skills training, all the workshops happening. So for those who have those costs as well. And lastly, for the EnoLab, we have the test trial, which is also an opportunity cost of the workers at that point. So we estimate between $71,000 and $90,000. Now, as Richard Branson, CEO of Virgin One, said, if you care for your employees, they will in return care for your clients. So by investing into your employees today, you're doing a direct investment into your clients as well, which is why this investment is important. And if we divide this by your net sales of $2.8 billion, as you mentioned to us today, then this is less than 1%. So we think this is a very good investment moving forward. Now, of course, as with any recommendation, there are some risks. So these are some that we thought of. Firstly, what if the employees moving forward are still unmotivated? So what if they aren't adapting properly to the changes that we've made today? Well, for this, we'd like to create some focus groups of both agents of change and of resistors and ensure that we have all the feedback necessary to understand what the real problems are moving forward. The second we could see is, what if few employees apply for the Videotron EnoLab that we've created today? So what if they don't understand the benefits of this moving forward? Well, for that, we'd like to identify those agents of change and use their voice moving forward to get the other colleagues on board. And lastly, what if the employees don't apply to the management positions that you currently have? So what if they don't have the entrepreneurial spirit that you're looking for in them? Well, for that, we'd like to survey the employees to understand and to reason and offer alternatives for them. So maybe a back-to-school program or more and tools that could be available to them. I'll now pass it back to Caroline to conclude this.
Let's take a quick look at our measures of success. So how are you going to know that these recommendations are working towards fixing those issues you've told us about today? So the first measure of success is employee feedback. So as you can see throughout our implementation, every single step you will be collecting continuous feedback. And this will be through employees talking to their directors, to their supervisors, through these surveys, but every single step of the way and every single change and every project you will implement, you will be collecting feedback. So if you have positive feedback from your employees, this is how you will know that these recommendations are working for you. The second measure of success is the quantifiable results from the InnoLab projects. So if you are able to use those projects that your employees have developed on their own time, if they're pertinent projects, if they're projects that you feel are important for the company, then that's how you will know that InnoLab is good for Videotron. The next measure of success is your turnover rate is maintained. As we've mentioned before, you have a great turnover rate. If you can keep that turnover rate and employees still want to stay working at your company, this will be great. The next measure of success is a decrease demotivation. So the decrease of the demotivation rate. So if your employees are more motivated and they tell you in the surveys that they are more motivated, then you will see that these recommendations have worked. There's also the number of projects that will be developed in InnoLab and the number of applications for the mentorship program. So if we could take a look at this in the Q&A, but with our recommendations today, we hope that we will fix the issues and that will take you from where you are for where you need to be. Thank you.
Vous avez travaillé beaucoup l'aspect de l'engagement, augmenter l'engagement, la mobilisation. Maintenant, si vous aviez à travailler le taux de roulement, où on veut quand même activer le taux de roulement, donc nos employés qui seront moins engagés, on veut justement que ces gens-là nous quittent ou aient une pensée ailleurs. Alors, comment vous allez le faire?
C'est sûr, des fois, le fait d'être non engagé, ça ne veut pas dire qu'on est un mauvais employé. Donc, c'est pour ça qu'on essaie de remotiver les troupes, dans le fond. On veut vraiment que tout le monde mette la main à la pâte, qu'on donne les outils nécessaires. C'est pour ça qu'on va offrir des trainings. Et puis, si on voit vraiment que l'évaluation ne répond pas aux critères de Vidéotron, c'est sûr, il faut laisser partir des gens dans ce temps-là. Mais on ne veut pas que la démoralisation soit la raison du départ. Ça ne veut pas dire que l'employé n'est pas qualifié, n'a pas les connaissances nécessaires pour faire le travail.
Vous avez évoqué l'équivalent de 10% du temps, ce que j'appelle un peu flex time. Comment convaincre une organisation qui est dans un mode production, qui est dans un mode coût, d'adhérer à ce style de recommandation?
Pour continuer dans le futur, c'est sûr qu'une innovation, c'est très important. C'est qu'est-ce qui fait keep the ball rolling, comme on dit. Sorry. In English, sure. So it's very important moving forward that innovation is a main priority, especially since you have so many competitors who can come and eat up the market share that you currently have, which is why we place such importance on it today. So if I can repeat, your question was...
Comment tu fais pour convaincre la direction d'engager ce genre de recommandation-là, de dire 10% de mes employés ont une flexibilité sur le travail qu'ils peuvent faire? C'est ce que je comprenais dans votre recommandation. Dans un contexte où est-ce que l'organisation contrôle beaucoup ses coûts puis la production.
En fait, c'est pas 10% des employés, c'est 10% du temps des employés. Et puis, en fait, la façon de convaincre l'organisation, c'est les projets qui ont été développés dans ce 3,75 heures par semaine par les employés sont des projets que l'organisation va pouvoir utiliser. Les employés vont travailler sur des projets personnels, oui, mais qui vont en lien avec les missions et les valeurs de l'organisation. Donc, ça va dans le sens pour que l'organisation puisse innover. Donc, ces projets-là devraient pouvoir, c'est pour ça qu'on fait un test run, mais ces projets-là devraient pouvoir aider l'organisation à avancer.
Puis, qui devrait être le leader du InnoLab? Est-ce que c'est uniquement TI ou c'est toute l'organisation? Puis comment on finance les projets InnoLab?
Absolument. On va commencer avec le secteur TI, juste pour avoir un test run pour voir comment ça fonctionne. Et après ça, on pourra voir si ça va être une possibilité pour les autres départements aussi. Et c'est sûr qu'il y a un coût associé, mais c'est aussi un investissement dans le futur, de votre futur. Alors, on croit que l'investissement, ça vaut la peine. Est-ce que ça va fonctionner pour les autres départements aussi?
C'est quoi le rôle de l'équipe de management?
L'équipe
Les gestionnaires et l'équipe de direction de l'équipe TI.
Le rôle dans InnoLab?
Dans le cas recommandé.
Ils ont plusieurs rôles. Dans le fond, il y a le rôle de transparence. Donc, on veut avoir une communication très claire et que ça vienne d'en haut. Donc, le CEO va être le porte-parole durant le meeting. Et puis, on veut aussi que chaque directeur et superviseur soit aussi là pour répondre aux questions, vu que c'est eux qu'on voit tous les jours. Donc, c'est pour ça qu'on fait le meeting avec eux en premier, pour qu'eux soient au courant. Et puis que quand les employés reviennent de leur meeting, ils puissent répondre aux questions tout de suite. Parce que si eux ont eu des questions avant, ils ont pu demander à leur boss, dans le fond, avant. Donc, comme ça, eux autres sont prêts à 100% et puis ils peuvent affronter leurs employés.